Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch, joined today by Sean Zerillo and Derek Carty for a quick look at Friday's MLB postseason slate. 2 games, very possibly our last day of the season with more than one game. If the Dodgers do as expected today, it will be our last day of the season with more than one game. So let's cherish it. Let's savor it. We have Blue Jays Mariners getting started at about 6 o'clock Eastern. Then Brewers Dodgers at about 8:30 Eastern. Dodgers trying to close it out, trying to complete the sweep. And the Blue Jays and Mariners series, suddenly the interesting side. The Blue Jays have torn the cover off the ball the last 2 days. Mariners may be running out of gas after, having only one day off after that crazy ALDS series against the Tigers. And now facing the Blue Jays team that's offense lit up the Yankees and got cold there for a couple days, but now it's lighting them up. Rematch of Game 1 in Blue Jays Mariners. We'll get to that game first. Kevin Gausman against Bryce Miller. I think everyone thought when the Blue Jays lost that Game 1, they were in real trouble because that was the one game where they had a really obvious starting pitching edge in Gausman against Miller. Of course, Miller got away with it. We'll see if he gets away with it again today. Blue Jays, very slim favorites here, minus 115. They were a lot stronger favorites in Toronto in this matchup. Now, minus 115, Mariners, the home team, minus 105. It's a best-of-3 series at this point. They will play today. They will be off Saturday, Game 6 on Sunday in Toronto, and a potential Game 7 on Monday in Toronto. Sean, I will kick it to you first. 2 days in a row now, we've surprisingly seen runs here at T-Mobile. Are we expecting more, or are we going back to the other side of it with the total here?
Yeah, so 2 days ago, bet the over at 6.5, climbed up to 7, ended up juiced at 7. Yesterday, bet the under. It never moved off of 7, despite a ton of action on the over. I do think 7.5 ultimately the right side there. We saw the exact pitching usage we wanted. The moment Luis Castillo got into trouble, Edward Rosario came into the game. So the managers managed it as we expected, based upon, trouble spots, not letting pitchers pitch through them. And for today's game, behind Bryce Miller, and the reason why this line is so different from Game 1, even after adjusting for home field, Bryan Woo should be available in relief behind Bryce Miller and ready to go. So the moment that Bryce Miller gets into trouble, I think you see Bryan Woo warmed up and ready to come in relief. He does project as the better pitcher, and a piggyback start between Miller and Woo projects as good or better than Kevin Gausman for me. So normally you'd expect a 7% swing moving the same matchup home to road. As you said, the Blue Jays closed around minus 155. In that first game, minus 160. You would have anticipated, just on a pure home field adjustment, that this game would be around minus 125 for Toronto, but Seattle did not have their top relievers expected for Game 1, and they also didn't have Bryan Woo available in relief. So much better pitching anticipated for the Mariners here relative to their expected pitching for Game 1. Miller, Woo, also better home road splits. And Gausman, even though his career splits pretty identical home road, did pitch better at home compared to on the road this year. Strikeout minus walk rate about 5% higher. Expected FIP about half run lower. So definitely getting the better of the splits, getting a better anticipated pitching staff for the Mariners today. And also, I would anticipate in a 2-2 series with the series tied and both teams fighting for the upper hand as we head back to Toronto for Game 6 and potentially Game 7, you're going to get aggressive bullpen usage from both managers once again, especially with an off day looming again on Saturday. So I make this total. I pushed the total down each of the last 3 days. I was at 7.4 for Game 3. I was at 7.1 yesterday. I'm closer to 6.5 in this game. Now, when this opened last night, FanDuel was 7, minus 105 over, minus 115 under. DraftKings put out 7.5, minus 110. ESPN copied them. BetMGM copied them. So there were a few books at 7.5, minus 110, even plus money. DraftKings, or FanDuel, as I said, was at 7, minus 115, never moved off of it. And the market did end up slamming that 7.5 all the way down to 7. Again, FanDuel never moved off of 7, minus 115. That's where they opened it. And that is roughly where they remain the next morning. So I think 7.5 under was clearly the side. 7, you can start to make a decision whether or not there's still value. I do think there is at 7 up to -110. Again, I made this 6.5. I would anticipate there will be people betting the over 7. I do not think, though, that it will end up closing on 7.5 because of how aggressively it moved off of that number last night. So I do think the 7 here, under to -110. I alluded it to yesterday, but at T-Mobile Park since 2005, when a total has closed 6.5, 7, or 7.5, a 6.7% ROI to the under. It is just difficult in general to score runs in this park. I don't think you can anticipate another 2-run bomb for Andres Gimenez. But the main difference in the series, and the reason why the Mariners are in trouble and on the ropes, their offensive strikeout rate this year, Toronto number 1, Mariners 23, mirrors their production with runners in scoring position. The Jays had the highest batting average with runners in scoring position. They hit 292. The Mariners ranked 26th with runners in scoring position, hitting 235 this year. It's the main difference in the series right now. When the Jays get runners into scoring position, you trust them to put the bat on the ball and not strike out and have an opportunity to catch those runners in. Anytime the Mariners have runners in scoring position, it seems like their guys are still swinging for the fences and trying to hit a 3-run homer. They're not playing, hit to contact. It's just not who they are offensively. They have more power as an offense, but they strike out a lot more. And as a result, they're putting themselves in situations where they're not cashing in runners. So under 7 is my bet for this game. Bryce Miller under 11.5 outs is good to plus money as well. I bet it at plus 150 last night. I like it at any plus money price, considering Brian Wu should be ready to go in the bullpen behind him tonight. And you saw that very quick hook with Luis Castillo yesterday.
Yeah, the announcers were not expecting that. I think we were with that hook.
Well, it would help if they ever showed who was warming up at the bullpens. Like, that's my biggest issue with the playoff coverage. They, if there's a reliever warming in the bullpen, it's a mystery to anybody watching it on TV. They never show them. Just show the bullpen at any point when a guy's warming up.
Yeah. Small correction. You did say that he went from Castillo right to Bizardo. It was Gabe Spire. He brought in behind Castillo with the lefty Varsho up. And of course he walks Varsho with the bases loaded, which helped influence that over a little bit last night as well. Derek, I'm going to bring you in here because you have a Bryce Miller angle tonight as well. I imagine it meshes well with Sean's. It's just a different take on it. Is it based on similar, basically, mind of thinking of how quick of a hook we think he'll get tonight?
Yeah, the angle here is basically the exact same as Sean mentioned. I'm looking at Bryce Miller under 3.5 hits allowed, plus 115 at Bet365 is the best odds on the board at the moment. But like Sean said, we have Brian Wu coming in behind Miller tonight, most likely, and kind of at the first sign of trouble, it wouldn't be a surprise to see them yank him. So to see him stay in the game long enough to give up 4 hits, I think they'd have to be very scattered, which is always possible. But especially getting plus money on it, I think the under on this looks like the move.
Those hits and runs angles are fun. We saw Sean and I were messaging last night during the Dodgers Brewers game. He was on under hits and runs for Tyler Glasnow. I think he allowed 3 hits in like the first 2 innings or something like that, and then got into the 6th inning. Both of them ended up cashing.
We had shadows there in LA yesterday.
Yeah, and he walked a batter. I almost jinxed you. He walked a batter and got pulled. It was at 3-1, and I was like, "All right, we're home." And then I'm like, "Oh shit, the guy on first could score, and we could still get to 2 earned runs." But
you could have tied the game too with a 2-run bomb.
Yes,
so that would make things a lot more interesting.
Thankfully, that didn't happen. I do have a couple hitter props here, but Derek, I do want to hear about your one hitter prop as well because it's one I like a lot. Cashed a Josh Naylor homer last night. Yeah. I've stayed blessedly warm. I'm not going to say red hot on my hitter props this week, but I'm not on a Naylor prop today, but I really like the Naylor prop that you have today.
Yeah, I'm looking at Josh Naylor to take a walk today. Plus 350 are the best odds on the board right now at Bet365. This is a guy that I've went to a bunch of times this year in this market. And it just, for whatever reason, the market just doesn't seem to price him properly, especially when he's against pitchers that have good control, which he is today. But I just think he's mispriced. I've bet him 19 times this year, all at plus 270 or better. I've gone 6 and 13, almost plus 6 units on just Josh Naylor walk props this year. So this is another spot where when he projects this well, the value has been there. The BATX sees the value being there. And so I'm going back to Naylor again.
Love
Derek,
that.
can I just ask if there's an adjustment in the BATX for a guy having homered the previous day, or like based upon recent production, or is it just purely like a, you know, their overall like data points that are like, there's no recency or yesterday like factored into that, right?
There's no recency. There's no yesterday. I know there was a study a while back that kind of tried to look at like the hot hand and whether players tend to do better, you know, after coming off of a hot streak or whatever. And it mostly found that no, there's not really an effect to it, except a small effect with walks. If a guy has been hot, he may walk slightly more the next day because pitchers are going to pitch around him or intentionally walk him or something like that. I don't have that baked into the projections because the effect was pretty small, but coming off a home run, you know, that certainly does help this potentially.
Yeah, it was just something I was thinking about the previous postseasons. We had bet Yordan Alvarez, Bryce Harper to walk oftentimes a game after homering, just like they're not going to mess around with them again. So especially when the lefty relievers may not be available. Just an interesting take to get from you. And, you know, I don't want to piggyback something that may not be value, but just in terms of thinking about Naylor walking, it could lead to an opportunity for him to steal a base. Second base is going to be open with the way he's been running, how aggressive he is. Also got the dad strength too. I don't know if the dad strength translates from the arms to the legs. Maybe it is all in the legs. That's why he's hitting bombs. But Naylor to steal a base potentially if he's going to be walking, I feel like there might be some amount of correlation there.
It might be that he's got the dad strength now, but he's run around with these little kids and on his feet all day that he's tired. He just wants to plot around from base to base, so it devalues the stolen base. But
it's the best base stealer in baseball. Don't hate on Josh Naylor.
The most unlikely 2020 season in MLB history, maybe.
I'd say Juan Soto's 40-40 or whatever it was probably the most unlikely 30-30 and near 40-40 ever too. So
you're right. And with the Naylor prop, you know, you obviously project mostly against Gausman, but in a game like this, if Gausman gets into trouble, we get into that bullpen, some more volatile arms. We didn't.
Gausman goes through bouts. Gausman has good command, but he goes through bouts too. He'll have an inning each start where he's like just falling behind 3-0.
If the splitter isn't splitting. But yeah, I mean, we didn't see Bassett or Lauer yesterday behind Scherzer. You know, lost that Scherzer outspet because Scherzer, you know,
it's great.
Dialed in. You know, he walked 4, danced around trouble. I think he had like no strikeouts through like 3 innings and ended up with 5.
Seems like he was going to get knocked out in the first inning for a minute.
Yes, he did. I posted on Blue Sky, I believe, when he walked his second batter in the first inning. I said Schneider needs to have Bassett up now, like, because this could get out of hand in a hurry.
And they showed Schneider, and he let out this like big sigh and had like an oh shit look on his face. He was like, I don't want to make a move right now, but I kind of have to.
And then when Scherzer screamed at Schneider when he came out to talk to him, the Fox slow-mo, you see him say, "I'm good."
He also bodied up the pitching coach at one point too. I don't know if you saw that. The pitching coach was standing at the top step of the dugout, and he like barreled through him. So yeah, full Mad Max in effect last night.
Absolute peak. If it's the last time we see it in the postseason, it was well worth it. But yeah,
for those unaware too, Trey Yesavage has very similar psychotic tendencies. There was a moment against the Yankees where I believe a batter called a timeout against Yesavage, and he never broke posture from hand and ball in the glove, and just focused on the catcher and just stayed locked in the entire time. And to me, it looked like Max Scherzer had pulled the Freaky Friday situation with him for a second. I thought Scherzer was pitching in Yesavage's body in Game 3. So yeah, Yesavage seems like every bit the potential psychopath on the mound that Max Scherzer is.
Love that. I got a trio hitter props in this game: 1 Mariner, 2 Blue Jay. I had to cut a lot from this. I was very tempted to like bet 6 different guys in this game, but I trimmed it down to 3: 1 Mariner, 2 Blue Jays. On the Mariners side, we're going with J-Rod. I think that this is a really good matchup for him with Gausman. Gausman's essentially a 3-pitch pitcher: the 4-seamer, the splitter, the slider. The splitter's his out pitch. Slider's more of a show me. He throws it less than 10% of the time. Then he throws the four-seamer more than half the time. And J-Rod projects well against both the four-seamer and the splitter. He's the only hitter in the Mariners lineup who projects above his expectation against both those pitches. So really like J-Rod here. If the Mariners offense gets going, I feel like he'll be the guy they feed off of. 2+ bases, plus 140 over at Fanatics, if that book's available to you. I think plus 135 is the best available at some of the more widely available books. And then J-Rod to go deep, plus 458 at DraftKings, like that as well. On the Toronto side, way more Toronto hitters I could bet. We've hit Vlad Jr. 2 days in a row. He should be the thumbnail image on YouTube. We didn't hit Ohtani yesterday. Sorry, Eddie. But the guys I'm going with two more under the radar guys today in Nathan Lucas, Ernie Clement. Ernie Clement cashed our bases yesterday. So we'll go back to the well with him. The books are adjusting a little bit. He's on base machine right now for the Blue Jays. We got him at plus 200 yesterday. He's plus 180 today. Still see value there. Bryce Miller, again, he throws a lot of pitches. None more than 40% of the time. His four-seamer, he's got the splitter at 18%, the sinker 16%, the knuckle curve at 10%. Clement grades out above expectation against the four-seamer, splitter, and sinker. So the three best pitches in Bryce Miller's arsenal. Nathan Lucas, we haven't bet him yet this postseason, but he's looked good, and he gets more opportunities at the top of the lineup, left-handed. No one real obviously left-handed going to pitch for the Mariners today, other than in relief. We'll see if Spire's available. They don't really have anyone other than that. They're not going to go to Caleb Ferguson, So Lucas, we were getting good odds there as well. 2+ bases, plus 175. And then the homer props on them will sprinkle 10th of a unit on both them. Lucas is at plus 900 and Clement plus 1340. If we can hit that one, that would be very nice. So those are my trio of hitter props today. In terms of an SGP, we'll go with I was trying to decide which one to add, which Miller prop to add. I think we'll go with Sean's outs here, and then we'll go with Derek's Naylor prop walks, which gives us a nice boost to that SGP. So Miller under 11.5 outs, Naylor over half of a walk. And then for the hitter prop, I think J-Rod. Is there any dissent there? If we had J-Rod, 2+ bases there. All right, I'm seeing heads shaking, which means you guys agree with me. So Miller under 11.5 outs, Naylor to take a walk, and Julio Rodriguez 2+ bases. That's 12-1 over at DraftKings as our SGP. I think we're on a real fun stretch here of missing our SGPs by one leg. Ohtani, of all people, let us down yesterday in Dodgers Brewers, but yay, that means we're doing well on the show, and we're still doing well on the show. We had a positive day again yesterday. We'll try to keep the momentum running. The parlays are just a fun little sprinkle. Before we move on, don't forget to sign up for Action Pro for real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Zerillo, Derek Carty, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code PAYOFF20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro. Use promo code PAYOFF20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, let's move on to Brewers-Dodgers Game 4. I think many of us expect this to be the last game of the NLCS. We hope it's the last game of the NLCS for the sake of our bets. Sean gave out Dodgers sweep before Game 3 at plus 170. That is on the line here tonight. And we said, it was the Game 3 line was floating around minus 180 to minus 200. We said for plus 170 to not have value, Game 4 would need to be like, what did you say, like minus 120 or something like that?
Minus 135. Yeah, it closed minus 165 Game 3 once we knew Mizorowski would be in. But yeah, it still would have had to be like minus 140 or lower to not be value for Game 4.
And the Dodgers, as of this recording at DraftKings, minus 205 favorites tonight with Ohtani on the mound. The Brewers, just as they have done all playoffs, have not announced a starting pitcher. We're assuming Quintana either to start or to bulk. He's pretty much the only arm with any length who's fresh today. They're plus 167, total of 7.5 in LA tonight. Sean, are you double dipping on the Dodgers, or are you letting your sweep ticket ride tonight?
You could just let the sweep ticket ride. It's really a risk tolerance thing. I do project an edge on the Dodgers tonight. That was part of the reason why I bet the sweep bet, because I thought they would be pretty substantial favorites today, considering who do the Brewers have left to pitch? Quintana, Gasser, Patrick, Myers, some combination of those. But this is the worst pitching situation they've had for the entire playoffs. Forget this series. This is the worst pitching staff they will throw out for the entire playoffs. And oh, by the way, Shohei Ohtani in a 47-inning sample this year arguably had the best underlying metrics of any of the Dodgers starting pitchers. So the Dodgers should be, north of 67%, I believe, in this matchup. Around there, 2/3 of the time, I think is a very fair win probability projection for them. I make them around 68.5%. I would actually make it closer to minus 230, assuming Jackson Chourio will not be in the lineup tonight as well, and Perkins is replacing him. So I think there's value on the Dodgers pretty definitively up to about minus 210, minus 215. I think you can lay their minus 1.5 runs. Not something I'd normally recommend, but I'd project that closer to even money. I saw plus 115 last night. So I probably like the spread to plus 110 or just the Dodgers money line straight all the way up to minus 210. We have our sweep bet. We have our NL pennant bets. If you tailed me on those, there's no need to necessarily double down here, but an edge is an edge is an edge. We are going to take a little bit of that edge at minus 180, minus 190, again, up to minus 200. You don't need to double down if you have the sweep bet. You don't need to double down or add more if you have the NL pennant futures. As I said, purely a risk tolerance play. Now, the other bet I like here is Ohtani to go over 15.5 outs, even all the way up to 17.5 outs. I like Ohtani to get through 6 innings in the start, primarily because he won't pitch again until October 28th. That is game 4 of the World Series. That is 11 days from now. There's no reason to hold Ohtani back. Yes, you're up 3-0 in the series. Yes, if he gets into trouble, you may not want to push him through too much of that trouble. And also, he's probably not going to pitch throw more than 90 pitches in this game. That's roughly where he's been in his past couple starts, 22, 23 batters, 90 pitches or so. But considering that huge gap, that 10-day gap before game 4 of the World Series, and with how Snell and Yamamoto and Glasnow have pitched, you're not putting him ahead of them in the World Series. You want Snell and Yamamoto in games 6 and 7, potentially, if the World Series gets there. I think Ohtani does get through 6 innings tonight. Over 15.5 plus money last night. Like it up to around 17.5 at plus money. I doubt it gets all the way to 17.5. It'll probably close 16.5 at around minus 120, where it's currently 15.5 minus 120. But Ohtani over, and then Dodgers money line, my 2 bets for this game. But again, if you have that sweep bet, you don't need to double down. If you have Dodgers NL pennant futures, you can add more. You don't have to add more. I'm going to add a small bet because I know people are taking my recommendations on these games, and also it is an edge. So we're going to add a half unit bet on Dodgers at around minus 190 up to minus 200.
An edge is an edge is an edge. If we were still doing podcast titles during the playoffs, I think that's what our producers would probably go with. Derek, kind of excited to hear your explanation for your bet here, because we're going head to head a little bit today. Little spoiler alert for my hitter props coming up. We don't see a lot of disagreement in this pod. We are of the same mind often. I think the biggest disagreements we ever get are like subtle disagreements where like Sean's betting an under and I have like 4 hitter props or whatever, which isn't a direct disagreement. It's more just like, I like these hitters and Sean's like, I don't like any hitters. But you've got a angle here on Tommy Edman, who's been pretty quiet this postseason. NLCS MVP last year, if I recall. And I'm on Edman today. So tell me about your Edman prop today.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to get a super passionate, disagreement here on him. We're looking at a 2-game slate. I'm trying to find a prop here for this game. I'd consider this probably more of a lean than an actual play that I would do on a full slate. But Tommy Edman to not get a hit, under half a hit, plus 200 are the best odds on the board right now. A lot of this just comes down to I'm trusting the projection on it. I mean, we're dealing with a game where we don't even necessarily know who the opposing pitcher is. We're making a lot of assumptions here. But right now, with the assumptions that the Bad X is making, it sees Tommy Edman getting a hit about 60% of the time and then not getting a hit about 40% of the time. So it's really just about the number we're being offered. At plus 200 on a 40% play, I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to hope for the best because there's not a whole lot even really being offered right now, but certainly not a lot showing a lot of value for me in this game. So that's just the one that looks like it has the most. And I'm not going to fault you for taking any Tommy Edman overs if that's the angle that you're going to take.
Yeah, I do see some value. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, especially when you've got these projection systems, which you guys both have incredible projection systems that I do not have. Sometimes you just got to trust the math. The numbers that I show right now do show value in Edman 2+ bases, Edman homer. He is one of the 3 hitter props I'm betting today. Outside of Ohtani, who doesn't show value practically ever in the hitter markets, and Mookie Betts, who still doesn't show a lot of value despite his subpar 2025. Tommy Edman is and Max Muncy, who is probably going to be facing a lefty today. Might even start the game on the bench if Quintana starts. Tommy Edman is the most successful Dodgers hitter in the lineup against sinkers. That's Quintana's main offering, 44%. He also grades out well against the 4-seamer, which he'll see from Quintana or whoever else comes in behind Quintana. He also might be facing a lefty more than a couple times tonight, which is, again, why I'm devaluing Muncy again tonight. Because as Sean mentioned, we don't know who's going to pitch behind Quintana or in front of Quintana. We might see some Robert Gasser. Jared Koenig and Aaron Ashby both pitched last night, but Pat Murphy seems to be willing to throw those guys every single night.
They've used Ashby and Uribe 4 times since Sunday because they pitched in Game 5 against the Cubs, and then they've each pitched all 3 times in this series. So Ashby and Uribe I have out tonight. Yeah,
and Tommy Edman in general, when he's facing a lefty, is when my ears perk up a little bit because he is a lefty killer. Career 809 OPS against left-handed pitching compared to 683 against righties. He has faced righties 3 times more than lefties in his career, as you would expect. That's normal for hitters. And he only has 4 fewer homers against lefties than he does righties. So generally, if I think he's going to get a lot of PAs against a lefty, I'm looking to bet him. I don't know if, because we don't know who the starter is for Milwaukee, I don't know if that's being properly baked in to the numbers here. So Edman 2+ bases, Edman homer, plus 135, plus 750 respectively. The other Dodger I like is another one I haven't bet all postseason, and it's one of my favorite players, one of the most underrated players in baseball. That's Will Smith. Will Smith grades out well against both the sinker and the changeup. The changeup is the second most used pitch in Quintana's arsenal. And the odds we're getting here for him to get 2+ bases are really surprising. That's probably my favorite bet personally of all of the props in this game is plus 140 for 2+ bases for Will Smith. There is still value in him to hit a home run too. And I believe there's value in our prop projections as well. I got plus 540 on Will Smith to hit a home run tonight. And then on the Brewers side, I can't quit Andrew Vaughn. He's literally the only Brewers bat I can find value in against this Dodgers pitching staff. You know, Ohtani throws an array of pitches. He throws 7 pitches at least 5% of the time. 4-seamer, sweeper, slider, curveball, sinker, cutter, splitter, at least by how Savant classifies pitches. And Vaughn, nobody hits well against the sweeper. Nobody has a huge sample size against the sweeper, and that's Ohtani's second most used pitch. But Vaughn grades out well against the 4-seamer, the slider, and the curveball. That's 3 of Ohtani's 4 main pitches. This is like the 4th time I've bet Vaughn in recent memory. He did hit a home run when I bet him against the Cubs in that first inning of that series, but he's been letting me down of late. But I'm just going to keep going back to the well. I can't quit him. I'm sorry. If you guys could see the corner of White Sox Twitter and their reactions to what Andrew Vaughn is doing right now after being arguably the worst player in baseball for the first 2.5 or so months of the season in Chicago. It was so predictable that he would come to Milwaukee and immediately figure out the talent that he had to become the number 3 overall pick in the draft or whatever he was. I'm happy for him. There are White Sox fans who are pissed as hell about it. I personally am like, hey, good for you. This organization is a tire fire. I'm glad you went somewhere and you're happy. That's my feelings on Andrew Vaughn.
If Andrew Vaughn didn't exist, we would have cashed Yoshinobu Yamamoto under 6.5 strikeouts.
That's right. I'm pissed at him for that. But anyway, his 2+ bases is plus 160. His home run is plus 475. Seeing value there as well. Not a ton of options here in terms of an SGP. We'll go small here. We'll go 2-legger. We're not going to touch Dodgers money line because we've already got our sweep ticket. So we'll go with Ohtani's outs over 15.5. We'll erase Tommy Edman here since Derek and I disagree, even if it's just a slight disagreement. And we'll go with Will Smith to hit a home run because I don't want to have any more strong feelings about Andrew Vaughn if he doesn't cash my bet and doesn't cash our parlay. So keep it simple. Ohtani over 15.5 outs. Will Smith to hit a home run. That is plus 950 at DraftKings. Dodgers hitter props are only just starting to pop up. The books have been slow adding them with the pitching uncertainty for Milwaukee. But as always, be sure to shop around for the best line.
Can I give you guys a fun stat about this LCS and the Brewers offense? They have the lowest BABIP among the 224 teams that ever compete in the League Championship Series dating back to 1969. They're hitting 136 on balls in play. As I said, it's the lowest in the history of the 224 teams that ever make the LCS. So that shows you the difficulty they've had at actually getting base hits in this series. I mean, the shadows yesterday didn't help, but in general, Dodgers, good pitching, good defense. It's tough to get anything off of them unless you're going to barrel it up and put it over the fence.
Yeah, worth noting, it is a night game tonight in LA. Well, it's a evening. It's post shadow time in LA tonight because they are the second game. But that'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. I'm not sure when we'll be back right now. We go Monday through Friday whenever there's a playoff game. As of right now, Monday's schedule would be an if necessary Game 6 between Dodgers and Brewers, which nobody expects to happen. Potential Game 7, Mariners, Blue Jays. If there's a Game 7 in Seattle, Toronto, we will be back with you on Monday. Otherwise, the World Series doesn't start until next Friday. Mm-hmm. So we will likely do we will do a World Series overall preview episode. We'll talk World Series MVPs. We'll talk series prices. We'll talk props, the whole shebang, sometime midweek next week. And then we'll have our Game 1 World Series episode for you as well by Thursday evening or Friday. So a lot to come, but a lot of schedule uncertainty as these series start to wrap up this weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy some baseball amid all of the football this weekend. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. Leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out our new AI quick slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bet you're looking for. It'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. Be sure to check out Derek Carty on other Action platforms this weekend. Sunday, you'll be on Action Playbook Live again Sunday morning, Derek. Yeah, yep. with all the NFL guys breaking down all of their favorite bets for the Sunday NFL slate. Been red hot there with your blitz projection NFL system, and then Monday night on Action Island as well. Giving out parlay. Our guys were Action Island for NFL for Bengals Steelers last night. They hit 7 of 8 bets. So keep up that hot streak going in football as well. But yeah, thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch. We will be back next week. For Sean Zerillo and Derek Carty, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Action Network's MLB Betting Podcast. Have a great weekend and good luck with all your bets.